What's the main driving creative force throughout all this?
You know, I think first of all, the thing that we really aspire to constantly is quality. That's
I'm sorry for all of it.
Today's video is sponsored by CyberGhost VPN. Out of all the characters in Star Wars, you would think that Obi-Wan Kenobi would be the hardest for Disney to destroy.
Well, of course I know him. He's me.
He's one of the first characters we meet. He guides Luke through the 3 original films with wisdom and kindness, while also teaching Luke about the Force and who he is in the bigger picture.
If you choose to face Vader, you will do it alone. I cannot interfere.
The hero that spent his later years watching over Luke and being always ready for action. Obi-Wan was the original heart of the Star Wars myth that drew us in to go on this grand adventure.
I was once a Jedi Knight, the same as your father.
We then got to go back in time to see Obi-Wan as a young man, learning how to be a Jedi Master and then becoming a teacher himself, and finally the ultimate hero. So we got to see him as a young man in the prequels, the brave hero, as well as the older man in the original films, also a brave hero. So what could Disney possibly do to this character to destroy all that?
I'm sorry.
They even had Ewan McGregor coming back, so that was exciting. They even had Hayden Christensen coming back, also exciting. And by a miracle, they both look pretty much the same as they did in the prequels. Thank you, George Lucas, for casting 2 actors with slow aging genes who had both avoided the all-you-can-eat buffets. So on paper, the Obi-Wan show should have been a win. That's what you'd think. But remember, this is Disney. So let's go back and look at what Disney decided to do with the legacy of Obi-Wan Kenobi. A super quick break to thank our wonderful partner, CyberGhost VPN, for sponsoring this video. With over 38 million users worldwide and over 20,000 excellent reviews on Trustpilot, CyberGhost VPN is one of the best VPNs out there. But why do you need a VPN, you might ask? Well, let me tell you. A VPN is essential for protecting your digital privacy because you see, plenty of eyes are watching you every time you go online, and even using incognito mode doesn't stop that. Your internet service provider, your school or work IT department, even your home Wi-Fi router, they can all track what you do online. And no one needs to know that. So that's where CyberGhost VPN comes in. Simply select from one of their over 100 locations before you browse to encrypt and reroute all of your traffic through their secure servers. This way, no one will ever know about your online activity. CyberGhost also unlocks geo-restricted games and content from over 40 streaming platforms worldwide, like Netflix, Amazon Prime and Disney+. CyberGhost works on all major devices and operating systems, and you can protect up to 7 devices at the same time. So that's perfect for sharing with friends and family. Use the link in the description to grab an 84% discount plus 4 months free. And with a 45-day money-back guarantee and 24/7 customer support, you can try it completely risk-free. Click the link in the description and start protecting your digital life today.
You can't win, Darth. If you strike me down, I shall become more powerful than you can possibly imagine.
I'm not who I used to be. Find someone else.
Go away!
Remember at the end of Revenge of the Sith, after everything Obi-Wan had been through, he was still a strong Jedi wanting to do the right thing, a true hero that never gave up? Well, remember no more, because it's Obi-Wan's turn to be Disneyfied. So you know what that means. Everything you know about Obi-Wan is wrong.
I haven't gone by the name of Obi-Wan since before you were born.
What are you doing here, Obi-Wan?
She needs you, Obi-Wan.
Now, one of my favourite things about Ewan coming back to the part, besides the fact that he can act, which, after watching Boba Fett, It's like a little ray of sunshine. Is watching Ewan McGregor try and convince the world he's excited to be in Star Wars again. And it's not just because they're paying him a fortune.
Why is everybody so interested in Star Wars?
I love that slight smile. Read his eyes, you can just see what he's thinking. Fuck me, here we go again.
Do you feel you have unfinished business, though, with Star Wars? It'd be nice to kind of get some kind of closure, I guess, with that.
No.
But we've learnt that Ewan knows how to get the checks cleared.
If I could meet one Star Wars creature, who would it be? Well, I'd like to meet Jar Jar again. Maybe we could bring him back. That's where it ends for me. I don't have a burning need to do it again or indeed any sort of fascination for the movies that everyone else seems to have. I don't really have that.
So we start with what is already an odd choice. We are back at the fall of the Jedi Temple. And don't get me wrong, this scene is good. And any location that is not the deserts of Tatooine is a fucking blessing. But when opening a show called Obi-Wan Kenobi, a love character we haven't seen for close to 20 years, you would think they'd want to start by showcasing Obi-Wan. Is that kid meant to be Reva? Now, they could still have this scene as a flashback later on, but to open with it didn't really fill me with confidence that this show wasn't going to turn into the Reva show.
What do we do now? We run.
Those big screens that Lucasfilm shoot on are super impressive. We always feel the actors haven't got enough room to get a good run-up before crashing into one of the screen walls. Hell, I suppose it could be worse.
Let's go.
How come we never see the Jedi run fast again? Then, slap me hard, we're straight back to the busiest fucking outpost in the fucking galaxy, Tatooine. The one story that should take us back to Tatooine comes out after Lucasfilm have just spent 3 years saturating us with shit Tatooine content. I just can't take seeing that same colour palette again for the third bloody show in a row. It reminds me of the stupid Walking Dead with its muted, earthy colour palette it used season after boring season. How come not one bastard was wearing bright yellow when the zombie apocalypse started? Anyhow, we're not here to talk about bad TV show fashion, but yes we are. I just did a whole video on the bad costumes in modern Star Wars. I should have waited to include these guys. The Inquisitors. Another wonderful creation from Dave Filoni, whose main talent is making bastardized versions of once great ideas. Like having people fly with lightsabers. Awesome. You fucking idiot. So you might have been mistaken in thinking with these cool get-ups and red lightsabers that we were getting some badass Sith action in this show. But you see, the Sith have this pesky rule of two thing, where only 2 Sith Lords can exist at any one time. Very cool concept that made the Emperor's and Vader's relationship more unique. The idea created a very dark, evil existence for the Sith, where the search for power outweighed any type of loyalty. As an audience member, it really made you understand how evil the dark side was. But in the cartoon-inspired Disney Star Wars world we're now in, that idea is out the fucking window. There's no longer just 2 evil dudes with red lightsabers. You can now have as many as you fucking want. Because who cares about special? More of everything is the only way for the mass moron consumer. And even though the characters are the same as the Sith in every way, we're going to pretend they're a Dave Filoni creation. We're going to call them Inquisitors. So that's what you call having your cake and eating it too. And by 2, I mean, fuck the 2 Sith rule. We just want as many baddies as we can. Live action Star Wars should be building on the incredible work founded by George Lucas in the movies, not continuing on from a side project cartoon that Dave Filoni was in charge of.
Who doesn't want to be a mother?
This is a setback for all women.
Now, surprisingly, I really like this dude, even though he looks like the guy heading home in a taxi after a mate's fancy dress party, where it was a little too hot and he had too many beers. He looks like shit. Are they even trying with the makeup these days? Why does he look melted? I also like this dude a lot. He looked very cool and comes across very intimidating. He seems very Star Warsy.
Stand down, third sister.
Which caused the problem when you placed him next to Reva. Why does this character look so completely different from the other Inquisitors? Why no makeup or cool helmet? Why does she have to look so ordinary? Reva looks like she got herself a knockoff Darth Vader costume for a friend's party, and when she was drunk she lost the helmet, which makes sense, because she also acts like the angry drunk girl at a party.
Tell me where the Jedi is, or this man and his family die.
Apparently Moses Ingram got to have a say in her final look. Now, there's a reason we don't let actors do costuming. But that's not the biggest problem with Reva. Poor Moses is being completely let down by the director, because any actor can give a bad performance if they're not guided by the director on set. Just look at Russell Crowe in Virtuosity. Fuck. I've seen dogs vomiting up grass give better performances than he did in that film. And he went on to be Maximus, which I'm sure is about to be remade starring Moses. A calm, measured delivery is always way more frightening, especially when your character's meant to have incredible skills, can use a lightsaber, and kill people with magic. Maul didn't even speak, let alone shout. But enough of that, because I don't want the mad mob coming after me. So the Inquisitors are hunting Jedi, and lo and behold, there's a Jedi on Tatooine. Now, it was always thought that Obi-Wan took Luke to Tatooine because no one, and I mean no one, would turn up all the way out there in that godforsaken place. But not 5 minutes into this show, and not only are the Inquisitors on Tatooine, and extremely close to Luke, another Jedi is also in Tatooine. It's as if modern Lucasfilm don't understand Star Wars at all.
Obi-Wan Kenobi.
Because they have made so many stupid story decisions in so many different parts of the Star Wars timeline that all they can do now is dig larger and deeper plot holes. It's quite fucking amazing.
I know of such things.
This show not only makes characters in the original trilogy and prequels look stupid, it also makes the characters in their own productions look like idiots. As an example, for some reason current Lucasfilm decided that the Jedi were either quickly forgotten about or not even widely known about. It was even decided that the Mandalorian wouldn't know anything about the Jedi, a bizarre decision that added nothing to his story. All it did do was remove any chance of Mando having any character depth when dealing with the Jedi. His relationship with them was that of a blank slate. Yet here we are, a time when Mando is around 20 years old. And not only does everyone know about the Jedi, everyone also knows about the Empire's ex-Jedi squad that fly around the universe screaming about killing the Jedi all the time. Doesn't really fit in with the forgetting story.
You know who we are.
Inquisitors.
You know what we do?
You hunt Jedi.
I know of such things.
But worse still is how it makes Luke look like a complete idiot. Now, at least Luke had heard of the Jedi, but he knew very little about them. He had never seen or heard anything about lightsabers or the Force.
The Force?
Are we meant to believe that the Inquisitors were flying into town, cutting people down with lightsabers and using the Force, and somehow not one friend or shop owner or droid ever mentioned anything about the violent magic show that just happened in town? None of these people seem surprised about seeing a lightsaber or the Force, but old farm boy Luke doesn't have a clue. I'm guessing George wanted to establish that Luke lived in a far-off place that hadn't seen this type of lightsaber Force action since the fall of the Jedi.
We must take them somewhere where the Sith will not sense their presence.
And seeing as Luke has never left the planet, it was easy to believe he wouldn't know anything about lightsabers or the Force. But with all this going on around him only a few years before A New Hope, Luke now looks like an idiot.
What is it? Your father's lightsaber.
So our first taste of the Inquisitors really sets up how up and down this show's going to be. We have a great scene where the Grand Inquisitor is explaining how he exposes the Jedi. Personally, I thought seeing as the Inquisitors are ex-Jedi, I thought they'd just be able to sense other Jedi, but apparently not. His way of relying on the Jedi's compassion for other people was interesting, right up to the point where these super powerful beings were stopped by the flimsiest awning in the galaxy. Their whole purpose is to track down and kill Jedi, and this bit of thin material made them give up on the chase.
Watch who's after scraps.
Scraps are all we have left.
Then we should be hunting bigger prey.
Scraps is all we have left? Then we should hunt bigger prey? Who writes this garbage? Only having scraps left would imply you've already got the bigger prey. Oh well, we then finally get to the guy that the show is named after. I never expected Obi-Wan to spend his days working in a fish factory, but Disney only know to do one type of Jedi, and that's as a miserable loser who has turned his back on the Jedi ways, which would be fucking fine if George's films didn't exist. Because if you've watched the George Lucas Star Wars films, this version of Obi-Wan doesn't make any fucking sense.
Something you want to say?
It would have been awesome if the Lucasfilm writers had used some imagination and done something like made Obi-Wan a complete undercover badass who lived in town before retiring up into the hills as old Ben.
I'm sorry, I'm not ready to die.
With all that Jedi training he had, he could have changed his identity and worked in security or as a local pilot that would keep an eye on everyone coming and going from the area to make sure no one was getting close to Luke. He could have been connected with all the people in the know, and his call sign could have been Airwolf. Then one day, bam, surprise motherfuckers, Airwolf's really a Jedi. Yes, that's just one idea, but anything would be good, as long as we don't get another old depressed Jedi that has just given up. Surely they're not going to do that again.
And don't call me Shirley. Stand down, third sister.
But if you do like the fish market scene and the return to home writing scene, you're in luck. This first episode has so much filler, we get to see him at work and travelling home 3 separate times. We get to see Obi-Wan check in on Luke, which by the looks of it could be the only time we do. We then see Obi-Wan get a visit from the younger Jedi that somehow escaped the Inquisitors. Now, this visit brings up a lot of bloody questions. But before we get to those questions, and fucking many others, I want to clear up some confusion that Disney defenders have with critics of these shows. You see, there are two types of so-called fans that try and enjoy these shows. There's one group that are all the people that fell in love with the Star Wars story, the fantasy of it, Luke's hero's journey, Vader's redemption, Anakin's downfall, Obi-Wan's journey from a warrior to a selfless old man who dedicated his life to just living on his own so he could watch over his friend's son. And then there are fans that fell in love with the Star Wars brand. And it's the brand that's important. They'll proudly tell you they love everything that's Star Wars, even though a lot of them seem to hate the original trilogy. To them, recognizing familiar things is the only requirement. Their excitement to see a character again outweighs anything, even if those characters are fucking up the original story or creating gigantic plot holes. The second group, the brand lovers, fucking hate the first group, the story lovers.
Maybe. Maybe not. Maybe fuck yourself.
They don't understand how story matters or why people care about it. Scenes play as standalone events in their heads, which makes them all enjoyable, as they don't lead to anything else. This second group, watch this new Jedi dude just walk up to Obi-Wan on this far-off planet in the middle of nowhere and don't once think, how the fuck did this guy know that Obi-Wan lives here? Did Obi-Wan do a Luke and leave a stupid map to his location, even though he didn't want to be found? If this guy found him, who else knows he lives there? Does Reva know? Because out of all the millions of planets in the Star Wars universe she could be on, she just happens to talk about finding Obi-Wan while standing not only on the planet Obi-Wan lives on, but in the same town he goes through every day. Was that just a coincidence? Or does she know he lives here? Well, apparently that was a coincidence, because she doesn't know he lives here. We could have had a scene where Reva senses that Tatooine is connected to Obi-Wan in some way. Or seeing as she strangely seems to know so much about him, she could have even found out that Obi-Wan once used Tatooine for refuge, and maybe he was doing it again.
Here, Master. Tatooine.
Maybe we could have had some background where Reva used the Force to trick the younger Jedi into heading to Tatooine, allowing her to follow him there to see if the younger Jedi would flush out Obi-Wan. But no, the tense close call between Owen, Reva and Obi-Wan had nothing to do with Reva's intelligence or skill. The writers just wanted to have a scene with those three characters together. But instead of working that scene into the story in an interesting and plausible way that could have shown Reva to be more than a screaming hothead, they just have it be a coincidence.
You know something?
We also find out later in the season that Vader is very hands-on with the Inquisitors and knows where they are chasing Jedi. So you think when he was sending them out to catch a Jedi on Tatooine, he may have said, look guys, bit of a coincidence today. The Jedi scum you're hunting down happens to be on Tatooine. And I might have never mentioned this before, but I grew up on Tatooine. And by chance, this guy's right near my half-brother. So seeing as you're going to be on Tatooine and so close to my half-brother, would you nick over there and see if he knows anything?
Yes, my lord.
We must take them somewhere where the Sith will not sense their presence.
Yeah, to be fair, we all knew it was questionable that George had Anakin coming from Tatooine after we knew Luke had been hiding out there his whole life. But it now even seems more ridiculous that all this was going on, and not once did Vader tell his henchmen about Owen, or that he's a person of interest.
I guess I'm your stepbrother. I had a feeling you might show up someday.
You have no rights here. We're not under the Empire's...
Hand cut off. Yes. I'm taking full credit for that. I know Robot Head is hugely popular at Lucasfilm, so I'm happy to see someone's been there taking notes regarding my big whinge 3 years ago about the sequels not having enough limbs getting cut off by lightsabers.
What? Just nicked again? What? Why isn't his head off?
What is it you think you will gain by capturing him?
When I'm old.
Speaking of Uncle Owen, of course, Uncle Owen hates Obi-Wan, and this makes some sort of sense because when they meet, Obi-Wan is portrayed as an idiot who learnt absolutely nothing with his time with Anakin.
Talked about this. When the time comes, he must be trained.
Like you trained his father?
Hey Owen, nice burn. But remember when you let Shmi die as a Tusken sex slave? And I have to point out, everyone always talks about Obi-Wan having a tough 19 years as he went from looking like this to this in that time. But no one ever mentions Bruce fall off the cliff, fucking sexist. Obi-Wan's whole story in the prequels was witnessing Anakin's rise and fall. He contributed to the rise and fall by continuing Qui-Gon Jinn's training of the boy that Yoda had warned was too old to start Jedi training. Anakin was 9 years old in Phantom Menace. Luke already looks like he's pushing 9.
When the time comes, he must be trained.
Obi, do you ever learn? So even though Owen didn't know Anakin and had only met him briefly and would most likely know very little about what happened to him, because I don't think Obi-Wan was hanging around the moisture farm on weekends, laughing around the barbecue about younglings dying, and Anakin cooking better than those steaks.
Smells incredible out here.
Christ, Anakin's the whole reason Obi-Wan is hiding on Tatooine and the reason the Jedi Order fell. But none of that matters because the Lucasfilm writers have Obi-Wan forget everything that happened and then have Owen remind him that it didn't work out so good last time. Lucasfilm really hates Jedi.
Go away!
The Lucasfilm writers so often write from the perspective that the characters have watched the movies. They give them connections that don't exist in the story. Han knew Obi-Wan for a matter of hours, and Princess Leia never met him except at birth, but they called their child Ben after him. Hang on, we're about to retcon that. Rey didn't even understand who Luke Skywalker was 24 hours before telling him they needed the old Luke back. She also only spent a couple of hours with the guy, yet took his name, a name that should mean fucking nothing to her, unless she's watched the movies. And this is what's happening here. Owen didn't watch the prequels, but somehow he knows what happened between Obi-Wan and Anakin, and how Obi-Wan got it wrong. And not only that, he has to remind Obi-Wan what happened. Fucking ridiculous.
My responsibility, Owen.
I'm his uncle.
Well, could call yourself an uncle. I mean, it's true your dad, the slave owner, did start having sex with one of his slaves. So technically, yes, you are an uncle, but not by blood.
So leave him on the farm with his family, where he belongs.
But I haven't even mentioned the biggest fuck you this show gives to the original trilogy. This series is actually about Obi-Wan going off on an adventure with Princess Leia. Sorry, Luke, but Disney hates your guts.
My duty is to the boy.
What about your duty to his sister? She's as important as he is.
Princess Leia's stepdad asks Obi-Wan to rescue the kidnapped Leia. Now, before listing the reasons why this is completely ridiculous and breaks the original trilogy and the prequels, I want to first point out, I like young Leia. I'm not so sure by the way she acts that she's not actually a 35-year-old midget, but I think she was a great choice to play the young Leia. I'm also happy to visit her so we can get away from the bloody desert. So if they wanted to set a whole show around the adventures of Leia, well, no problem. But in Star Wars, Leia and Luke were separated to protect them. Leia was to live with a royal family who have guards and a whole bloody army to protect her. Luke was to be protected at all costs by one silent Jedi guardian. Well, apparently I was wrong about all that because these dumbass writers have Obi-Wan leave Luke alone in the desert to go look for a princess that should have a whole planet looking for her. We were just showing the Inquisitors hanging around Luke's town looking for Force-sensitive people. So it's probably not a worse time for Obi-Wan to leave Luke alone.
We cannot let this become public. It would draw too much attention.
Pops doesn't want to draw too much attention. Attention to what? That his royal daughter that everyone knows is missing? Sending the most wanted man in the universe is a better way to draw less attention? Instead of sending your royal guard to save your daughter, you sent a guy that could be detained and executed at any moment. Oh, these writers are so fucking stupid.
I can't leave the boy.
This isn't about the boy and you know it.
No, Pops, it is about the boy. It's totally about the boy. Protecting him is Obi-Wan's only job. You and your army are meant to be protecting the sister.
Hidden, safe. The children must be kept.
My wife and I will take the girl.
I will take the child and watch over him.
And it's not just about protecting Luke. Obi-Wan is a Jedi in hiding, like Yoda, who's off living in some muddy bog somewhere. Yoda didn't choose that life because he was afraid. Yoda and Obi-Wan are trying to preserve some remnants of the Jedi Order. If they get wiped out, that's it for the universe.
Until the time is right, disappear we will.
Well, the idea was that Obi-Wan stayed on Tatooine to look after Luke, but Disney hate Luke, and they need to cash in on Obi-Wan. And they don't know how to do that story. I remember many Disney defenders criticising anyone that dared mention the idea of seeing the OT cast together in the sequels. Apparently those oldies had had their time being in the original 3 movies. Well, I hate to tell these crazy fans, but Obi-Wan was in all 6 of George's movies. So if the writers can't come up with a story that doesn't break A New Hope, you know, the film that started all this, then they should come up with something new.
General Kenobi, years ago you served my father in the Clone Wars.
Oh, fuck off. No. So we're making it a thing now that Jedi, for no apparent reason, bury their lightsabers in the middle of nowhere. Thanks, JJ. It's always fun watching these shows try and fix the insanity of those sequels. But having Jedi bury their lightsabers, like a dog burying a bone, doesn't make any sense. Obi-Wan's sole job is to protect Luke at any cost, from either getting murdered or being taken by Vader so he can be trained up for the Emperor. That's a pretty big responsibility for Obi-Wan, keeping the Dark Lord's son from his father in the hope that it might save the future of the universe. But what's he going to do if he finds out Vader's on his way? Jump on the camel sloth, race out to his little hidey spot, which will be a real bastard to find because sand dunes constantly move and change, dig up his lightsaber, and race back to stop Luke being taken. Doesn't seem the greatest plan. In reality, what Obi-Wan should be doing is training every bloody day.
In your solitude on Tatooine, training I have for you.
He was a Jedi Master that witnessed firsthand what happened when this bloodline he's looking out for fell to the dark side. He might want to be a bit more ready for action. Also, when someone is a part of what is essentially a holy war and then is persecuted for their religious beliefs, that of being a Jedi, they don't normally blame and turn on their own beliefs. It usually makes them more devout. They usually want some type of justice. But this is Disney, so we're working with hacks here.
I'm not who I used to be.
So we're only one episode in, and we've already lined George Lucas up and kicked him square in the nuts and shat all over his original story and life's work. What a wonderful company Disney is. Now, I don't want to skip over the true highlight of episode 1, the kidnapping. What the fuck is Flea doing here? Why do we have to have these stupid cameos? And for the youth out there, a Flea is a bass player from a popular 90s band called the Red Hot Chili Peppers, a once great band that thankfully stopped in the 2000s before they became old and pathetic and started churning out absolute shit music. Now, I don't know if the second unit director shot the kidnapping scene, but whoever did it did a horrendous job because it's laughably bad. Now, not Boba Fett's scooter bad, more like Three Stooges bad. For the youth out there, the Stooges were a popular band in the 70s.
That's peanut butter.
The kidnapping chase felt like being in one of those weird dreams where you either can't punch hard enough or you can't run away fast enough. No one's legs in this scene move properly, and for some reason they can't reach out with their arms, and they just keep running into things. It's really fucking bizarre. So yes, Obi-Wan decides to leave Tatooine and in turn fucking let Luke fend for himself. And what a wonderful disguise he's wearing. He looks just like a Jedi. Continued in episode 2, where we get more weird chasing. Use your arms, Obi-Wan. Well, wasn't episode 1 a treat? Surely episode 2 must get better.
Of the Star Wars franchise, which storyline did you enjoy most?
Definitely the original trilogy, because that's when I grew up and first was exposed to Star Wars, but I love the prequels. I love, anything Star Wars gets me, but I'm an original trilogy kid.
Which storyline did you enjoy most?
Saying that writing is becoming a lost art form is stretching it a bit, but watching a show like Obi-Wan Kenobi confirms that the process of becoming a paid writer has certainly changed for the worse over the years. Any idiot can now be a writer. What once would have been considered a loose storyboard or rough outline for a show is now the finished script. Huge shortcuts are taken just to get to the next mundane, stupid scene. Shortcuts that are produced by sheer laziness or utter stupidity. Not long ago, we were getting annoyed if a trip in Game of Thrones seemed a little too quick, or the crossing of paths didn't quite add up.
Well, Danny kind of forgot about the Iron Fleet.
But that now is starting to look like the golden era of storytelling compared to the utter laziness displayed in the shit show that is Obi-Wan.
You'll help me?
Yeah. Major points of the story are just skipped over and somehow the Disney fellatio-giving fans just can't get enough of it. They praise this crap. And I'm not talking about doubling the length of the series to flesh out every boring detail. I mean just including basic story structure, like setups and payoffs. And writers, try and understand the basics of your own stories, you fucking idiots, and relax. Obi-Wan arrives in the city his tracker has led him to, a city that is basically a still from Blade Runner. You would think in the 40 years since Blade Runner came out, we could have something besides neon lights to indicate grimy sci-fi city. But as we know, modern Lucasfilm isn't really known for their creative originality. This supposed very busy city looks strangely empty, and all its residents are very evenly spaced out, like in a stage show. But to be fair, this show looks way better than most of the crap we saw in Boba Fett. This at least looks like a real show, and the people seem to be based in some sort of reality. Unlike this fucking scene from Boba Fett, where we had the bestiality couple. I bet seeing them have sex is a wild experience. Haha, I see. Red Letter Media's Rich Evans has finally sold out. Bastard. I've been trying to sell out for years. And they must be cloning him because he magically goes from here to here between shots. Yes, Obi-Wan arrives in the city and within 30 seconds, he meets a random kid who takes him to a guy who can tell Obi-Wan not only the location of the building where Leia's been hidden, but by the looks of it, even the room location. Well, we think he gives him that info. You see, the writers don't like to share little things to us like plot details. We have to guess how he knows which building to go to and where the rooms are located.
I seem to have lost my way.
Yeah, well, get back to work.
Obi-Wan lands on this strange planet and is led straight to Leia through the magic of instant luck. Not even a scene of him talking to multiple people in the street to find the right person that may lead him to Leia. Now, we can't have that. We can't have a proactive hero. The Lucasfilm writing staff like to make all our old heroes passive losers, which pretty much sums up the Lucas writers. Should I ask them if they know anything? They're a little scary. Maybe I should ask them. No, if only a child would approach me with information. Close. Perfect. Now, I understand that sometimes stories need the odd coincidence to happen to keep within the confines of a limited storytelling format. Shit, coincidences happen all the time in real life. But this show doesn't cut the odd corner by making sure our characters have a bit of luck on their side. Full-on miracles are needed to make this plot come together.
Go to Transport 8.
What are you talking about?
It'll take you to Mapuzo. They'll be waiting.
Who'll be waiting?
And remember my favourite part, this show was repeatedly delayed because they weren't happy with the scripts. This mongoloid piece of junk show is apparently the improved version. What was the original script like? Just feces smeared on a piece of paper?
You sound like my parents.
Obi-Wan was written by Jobby Harold, whose other writing credit is Army of the Dead. Who the fuck watches Army of the Dead and decides that guy, who wrote that pile of mind-hurting bullshit, should ever write anything ever again? And who the fuck calls a kid Joby? I wouldn't let Joby write the expiration dates on food at the supermarket. Yarb. The amazing part is anyone, except maybe the simpletons that gobble this crap up, could come up with an interesting scenario that would explain Obi-Wan finding Leia so quickly. Part of the reason, and wouldn't it be great to have a reason that made some sort of sense, part of the reason why Leia's stepdaddy wanted Obi-Wan to go after Leia could have been that he knew Obi-Wan had contacts on the planet she was taken to.
Please, Obi-Wan, I know you have contacts there.
That could have also been part of the explanation of why Leia was taken to that planet, because that little detail is never explained either.
Obi-Wan, old friend, I thought I'd never see you again.
Thanks for meeting with me, my old friend Max Big Flaps. Do you have any leads?
Yes, I'm sending you to a people smuggler that might know something. He also calls himself a Jedi.
And why the fuck would he do that?
Fucked if I know. He used to call himself the local rapist, but that didn't draw enough attention.
You would think with the main plot idea, that of being to capture Obi-Wan, they would think about keeping Leia in maybe a more open area, say a large warehouse where they could monitor Obi-Wan approaching, or maybe even some sort of facility they had control over, like where the Inquisitors are staying. But instead, they decide to go to a random planet, keep her at the back of a shop, guarded by Bill and Ted. I mean, he's only a trained Jedi and the most wanted man in the universe, and apparently capturing Obi-Wan is Reva's main obsession.
We will find you!
But when he arrives, she's not even ready for him, except for the stupid fake-out dummy she made that served no purpose. Or if you want to stick to the Lucasfilm idea of making Obi-Wan a complete idiot who arrives with no plan at all, you could have the people pointing Obi-Wan in the right direction working for Reva. She could be setting all this up to lead him to her trap.
You'll help me?
Yeah,
Can I trust you?
definitely.
But no, fuck those ideas. Everything that happens in finding Leia is just a coincidence.
There's a Jedi. He helps people.
Obi-Wan meets the pretend Jedi. A people smuggler calling himself a Jedi in this world is the equivalent of a real-life people smuggler advertising themselves as a terrorist suicide bomber. It's upping their criminality by about 1,000%. If they stop your truck at the border and it's full of illegal immigrants, you may go away for a couple of years. Actually, if you haven't crossed the border yet, you may just go home. If your truck is full of fake explosives, well, the cops ain't going to know they're fake, and they're just going to blow your head off anyway. People smugglers don't need some stupid angle to get paid for people smuggling. You pay them and they smuggle you out. The pretending to be a Jedi is some bizarre little play that serves no purpose. He even puts on a little magic show to trick the desperate mother and son, whose only goal is to get out, and most likely could do without the theatrics. So what would happen if his little amateur magic show failed mid-performance? Well, absolutely nothing. She's there to get smuggled out of town, not see the next David Copperfield wannabe.
Well, I was going to let you help me, but your magic's bullshit.
Yeah, I know. With your son's abilities, they will come for him.
But he mentions the kid has powers. Maybe they only trust him.
Bullshit! I don't think his business would last long if it was just set up to help the Force-sensitive people. I don't think that's a very good angle. Or are they trying to say there are so many Force people around that he can concentrate on that segment of the smuggling market? Fuck off.
Yeah, definitely.
All the smuggling dude has done is put a massive target on his back that ends in execution. He's even walking around dressed as a Jedi with a big swinging fake lightsaber hanging off the front of him. Maybe that's really his huge swinging dick, as the guy seems to have gigantic balls, openly walking around as a Jedi, who have all been sentenced to death.
Extinguish him.
Consider it done.
Oh, that sounds so ominous. But like several scenes in this show, there's just no payoff for what he just said. His consider it done means he's going to go marching down the middle of the street like it's the end of Pride Month and then stand at the entrance of the spaceport just in case Obi-Wan comes in. Not exactly getting the job done, is he? But apparently the whole Inquisitors hunting and killing Jedi thing isn't that serious, because our fake dick swinging Jedi here later tries to stall Reva by again declaring himself a Jedi. He does this to a crazed Jedi murdering assassin. And as he must have somehow known, she doesn't kill him. I mean, she will cut off a woman's hand for just speaking out of turn, and also considered killing Owen because she didn't like the cut of his jib. But if you stall her from catching her most hated prey and lie about being a Jedi, she's pretty cool with it. Our fake Jedi here isn't even scared. It's as if he's in a completely different story. And that's because these idiot writers don't have any idea how to keep a consistent tone from one scene to the next, which is a basic failure of writing and makes the show a complete mess. Because are we meant to be scared of Reva or not? And while we're on this guy, why do we even have smugglers on this planet? We just saw Obi-Wan land and he wasn't checked for any type of ID. And going by the spaceport, people seem to be able to just come and go at will.
I don't have time for this. Just be gone, okay?
You're in Daiyu now. All signals in or out are blocked. People like their secrets out here.
Who's he smuggling out? Is there really that many Force-sensitive people around now? Anakin was the chosen one, but it took Qui-Gon Jinn to spot him because he wasn't walking around doing magic. Now, thanks to The Last Jedi, every Force-sensitive kid must be like Broom Boy, just casually being able to use the Force whenever they want. I do like how the creators of this show have the Inquisitor's mind-reading capabilities just come and go to suit individual scenes. Usually that's something only a bunch of hacks would do.
You know what? I'm not gonna answer it.
I don't need you to. Tell me where the Jedi is!
Where is he?
I don't need you to.
So yes, the fake Jedi sends Obi-Wan directly to the building holding Leia. After some sad Cobra Kai fighting that seems very un-Jedi-like, he somehow knows to head straight to the room that's a trap. Why two thugs stop him, or how he knows where the room is, or why he has to enter the room before they can grab him, is never explained. Man, that cheap-ass chain jacket is giving me some Boba Fett mods vibes. But anyway, he escapes the trap with a bat smoke bomb. And then heads directly to the room where Leia is. Again, we're not given one line of dialogue for how he knows which room to go to. But I'm sure that the spit-dribbling Disney fans think this written for more on script is wonderful. Now remember, this whole plan is to flush out Obi-Wan. Leia is just an innocent bystander being used for bait. She's only being used because of who her stepfather is. Now, Reva somehow decided to target Leia's stepfather, even though she would have no knowledge of Obi-Wan's and Bail Organa's relationship. Again, and I mentioned this last time, the dumbass Lucasfilm writers keep giving the characters motivations and knowledge that they would only have if they had watched the movies.
I use the girl as bait.
Leia's dad was more of a colleague of Padme's. Even Anakin doesn't know that Bail Organa and Obi-Wan have a special bond. That's sort of the point of choosing them to take the children. Chobi, you idiot! Were Obi-Wan, Anakin and Bail Organa ever in the same room together?
Oh no, I'm not brave enough for politics.
I'm sure the comments will let me know. The only way you would think there was any special bond between Obi-Wan and Bail Organa is if you know about this scene and the twins, which would mean the whole original trilogy is blown out of the water and catching Obi-Wan would not be a priority for Vader.
Sister, Obi-Wan was wise to hide her from me.
Somehow, that's never explained, Reva by chance picked out of the thousands of people involved with the Clone Wars and the Fall of the Jedi, picked out that what should be to her a random politician and guessed that he was somehow close to Obi-Wan. Even though this random politician and Obi-Wan spent little time together and all their personal interactions happened after Order 66, so there would be no records in the archives regarding any of that.
I found a link between him and Organa in the archives. I used the girl as bait.
You'd think you'd need more than just a link to lock in this plan, but boy did Reva really luck out. She somehow picked the sole person in the universe that was still in contact with Obi-Wan, a Jedi that no one even knows if he's still alive. What are the chances of that? Fuck, there's some convenience for you. Her plan was to take the child of a senator that had no obvious connection to Obi-Wan, but worked in his vicinity like 10 years earlier, fly the child to another planet, lock her in a room at the back of a shop, hope Obi-Wan was still alive, hope that the senator and Obi-Wan not only knew each other, but had a special bond, hope that the senator was still in contact with Obi-Wan, hope that the senator had tracked the kidnapper's ship, hope that Obi-Wan would agree to come out of hiding to find his child, hope that the senator didn't do the smart thing and just sent his personal army.
Where's the army?
Or better still, contact the Empire about his missing daughter.
Don't worry, the situation is under control.
Hope that Obi-Wan would get to the hostage planet in one piece, hoped that Obi-Wan would luck out and find his way to the random building, past the drug den and local heavies, and end up in the precise room that for some fucking bizarre reason had a fake Leia tied up. Why the dummy Leia? Getting him to the planet wasn't enough. Getting him to the building wasn't enough. Getting him to the room wasn't enough. He also had to fall for the fake Leia. I mean, if he'd seen her through a window, or when he touched her, the door shut behind him, or maybe set off an alarm, I'd understand. But no, the dummy Leia served no purpose. And amazingly, this 1 in a fucking billion chance of coming together plan to capture Obi-Wan almost worked. Years of planning and so many magical pieces needing to come together. And Reva was so close. She must be devastated. If only she'd been there waiting to capture her main obsession. I'm sure she had a very good reason for not being there, but we'll never know because that's not important.
The Republic will be reorganized into the first galactic empire!
And yes, I did say that Leia's stepdad could have contacted the Empire. With his public position as a senator in the fucking Imperial Senate, he would most likely have contact with them every day. He could have had this resolved in about 5 minutes. There are stormtroopers out in the street right outside the building. They could have had her back home that day. And don't give me the bullshit that it would draw too much attention.
What about the Senate?
We cannot let this become public. It would draw too much attention.
She's not hidden away from the world working in his kitchen undercover as one of his staff. The galaxy and everyone around him knows it's his daughter. What would draw some attention to the situation is if she was picked up by stormtroopers and it was discovered she went missing from her home planet and no one said anything. Now that would set off some alarm bells. Or worse still, found on another planet dead next to the most wanted man in the universe.
It's so fucking stupid, Jamie.
It's as if these writers who wouldn't have got a job on the Muppet Show can't even follow their own stupid story.
But what is this strange world we've come to?
Beats me, 3PO.
They just can't comprehend that at this time in Leia's life, Leia isn't at war with the Empire. Now, JB, I know when you got the job writing for Star Wars that you went and looked up clips on YouTube to know what the story was about, and you only saw clips of Leia running and fighting the Empire, but that time in her life hasn't started yet, you dumb fuck. The only reason Leia is getting chased, shot, and nearly killed is because Obi-Wan takes her with him. If Obi-Wan had half a brain, as soon as he realised they were all onto him, he would have known it was way too dangerous to take Leia with him. He should have handed her to the stormtroopers, who would have been seen as heroes returning a missing Imperial Senator's daughter. And Reva wouldn't have even stopped them because she would be in deep shit if it came out that on her own she went and kidnapped a senator's daughter. And the dumbass writers rammed this home with this scene.
You would kidnap an Imperial Senator's child?
We've done worse.
You have no right.
The Grand Inquisitor is now smarter than our loved Jedi Obi-Wan. He understands that Leia's family works with the Empire, and it would be very important to protect her, which means Leia would actually be safer with the Grand Inquisitor than she is with Obi-Wan. Bravo! Bravo! You idiots. But because Obi-Wan is now an idiot, he decides not to get our balls of steel fake Jedi to hand Leia over to the safety of the Empire. Instead, Obi-Wan decides to put her through this. Oh dear.
Stop, Leia! 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 Leia, go! Leia! No! No! Leia, no!
Hold on! Hold on tight! Oh! No!
A manhunt that has nothing to do with Leia. Obi-Wan's actions make Leia a criminal and a new target for Reva. What an absolute hero.
Where is he?
And again, I must remind you, what we are witnessing is the rewritten, improved story and script, the one personally approved by Kathleen Kennedy, a person that hasn't written anything in her life and has somehow reverse engineered the once biggest IP of all time down to a poorly rated TV show. Fuck, I wish I had the work safety of Hollywood. We also get, luckily, a personal favourite of mine, the chasing of Leia where no one can reach out and just grab her.
Leia!
No!
Leia, wait!
Leave me alone!
Stop!
And not being happy to just copy John Wick.
I want every lowlife and bounty hunter on this planet to know Kenobi is here.
We also get Matrix Reva. And Warriors Reva.
Warriors!
Obi-Wan.
Come out today.
But I wish we could just get interesting, well-acted Reva. The amazing part about Reva's badass circus routine is when she just disappears. I have never seen an action scene where one of the main cast just gets forgotten about during the scene. Reva's like 5 buildings away when she starts. Then she moves at incredible speed. Yet she never catches up to him. Even while they stop and Leia's hanging off the building and falls. We'll even then get another 10 minutes of dialogue. And go back to Reva and she's still going at full pace. What the fuck is going on? Where's she been running? We even get the fake Jedi up there for one shot. Yet through the whole chase, we never see any of these characters in the same shot together. I think we're seeing the result of some heavy re-editing or reshooting of this show, because this couldn't have been planned out. Oh, that's a shame. I did like him, but no one comes back from having a lightsaber run through them. I mean, you know, Kylo did, but he had Super Rey with him. And it's not like Disney has made death completely meaningless in Star Wars. That would just take away all the stakes and be idiotic.
You can't run, Obi-Wan!
Oh yes, more shouting. That ain't going to get old quick.
You can't escape him! We will find you! We will destroy you!
I do hope that pilotless cargo ship comes with oxygen and a heater for the journey through the cold vacuum of space. Would have been a nice touch to have some livestock on that ship. You know, just add some interest and check off the old, that's how they know and we know they're going to survive the trip. Could have also added some light relief after the near death of Leia. Maybe a lighthearted scene with Obi-Wan and the animals. But I'm guessing me wanting a more rounded, thought out fun story is just nitpicking. I should be just happy with the shouting and dumbass action, because that seems to be all the Disney toadies need.
I don't have time for this.
It is an interesting decision from the writers to have a show about a smart, powerful Jedi rescuing a princess, but they have him arrive with no plan or ideas on how to find her, or even the foresight to plan their escape off the planet once he's rescued her. If Obi-Wan had met the fake Jedi within minutes of landing, he would have been absolutely screwed. Fake Jedi here is our real hero. He found Leia, stalled Reva, and organised their escape off the planet. Imagine if it turns out the fake Jedi here is the one to get Leia home safely. Imagine what a kick in the legend of Obi-Wan's balls that would be.
Haja, you remembered my name.
It's hard to imagine a story that stupid, so make sure to join me next time for the continuing story of Alzheimer's Obi-Wan, and we'll find out if he can finally get Leia killed.
Warriors, come out to play!
Okay, episode 2 wasn't the joy I'd hoped for. Let's give episode 3 a go. The Obi-Wan Kenobi show really has it all. Utter stupidity, Obi-Wan looking pathetic, Vader looking pathetic, a couple of good things. Yes, I know, I don't believe it either. And huge galaxy-sucking plot holes that make everyone look stupid, as well as cancelling out the original trilogy.
Where is he?
We have probes out. We're tracking all possible exits.
So you could say it's the perfect example of modern Hollywood. Now let's start with the biggest shock of all. A couple of things I really liked. Well, more like a couple of scenes. If you look past how stupid Obi-Wan is.
Maybe it was a lie. I knew it. I never should have trusted him.
We don't know if maybe...
No one is coming here, Leia.
Ewan and that little girl work really well together.
Are you my real father?
The scene where Obi-Wan talks about Padme and remembering glimpses of his family, and maybe even having a brother, was the first time I'd felt anything in this show. It was the first thing that felt anything like Star Wars. To be honest, it's probably the first time I had any emotion that wasn't anger or disappointment since the opening of The Force Awakens.
I still have glimpses. My mother's shawl, my father's hands. I remember a baby.
A baby?
Yes, I think I had a brother.
It felt like when Obi-Wan talked about his brother, his character grew a fraction, instead of what usually happens in this show, where his story retracts like a penis in a cold pool.
I was in the pool!
We learned something about him in a nice way that didn't shove a hot poker up the arse of everything we already knew about him. It was a glimpse of what could have been. But don't worry, that doesn't last long. We're soon back with Reva.
I just spoke with Lord Vader.
I also liked him having the visions of Anakin. After making the effort to hire Ewan and Hayden again, you'd think the creators of this show would have at least made one flashback that showed them as close friends. It could have added so much to the story. George wanted to tell us they were like brothers.
You were my brother, Anakin!
But he didn't do a great job showing it. This could have been an opportunity for us to see them as close friends. But anyway, the good times don't last long. We have to rush back to every fucking thing being stupid. Which brings us to the third sister.
Send out the probes. Do it now.
Third sister is an idiot.
Where is he?
We have probes out. We're tracking all possible exits.
Last episode, Obi-Wan gets on an unmanned delivery spacecraft. Reva is standing next to the craft when it leaves. She is also in a city that is under the Empire's control. Whoever runs that facility must know where that ship is going. And not roughly, but exactly where it's going. So why didn't Reva just go and ask them?
We have probes out. We're tracking all possible exits.
Send out the probes.
Or better still, get the people who control the deliveries to turn the ship around and deliver Obi-Wan and Leia back to Reva.
We will find you!
In this episode, we see Leia complaining about how slow the bloody ship is.
Can't you make this thing go any faster?
Reva could have found out where they're going, got on a ship, and hyperdrived her ass all the way there before they got there. You do realise if the delivery ship that Obi-Wan and Leia got on doesn't have hyperdrive, that they both would have starved to death. I mean, some of these things on their own might sound trivial, but it is basic storytelling. It's the least we should expect. But in the Obi-Wan series, the stupidity is relentless. Now, I'll quickly give it one more compliment. Some scenes in this show look fucking amazing. It's just a shame that they didn't spend as much time on the script as they did on the visual orgasm. Why the stormtroopers are just out wandering on foot looking for a Jedi is a mystery. They should have just gone to where the ship was going to land. But I do like that they aren't even given a description or a name of the person they are looking for. It's just a Jedi.
Looking for a Jedi.
Where do they begin looking with that much information? Jedi come in all shapes and sizes. Fucking Yoda is a Jedi. They'd have to stop and talk to every bloody creature they see. And if Reva was smart enough to narrow it down to it being a man with a child, why aren't the stormtroopers even considering that they might be looking for these two? These two people that just happen to be out in the middle of nowhere where they're looking for a Jedi.
A Jedi? Out here?
Oh, no, we'll find them. We always do.
They know what they're doing, Leia.
He says the fucking name. You trying to tell me that Reva didn't even pass the names on to these guys? How fucking dumb do you have to be to accept this shit? It's fucking basic storytelling. A 5-minute script discussion would have fixed this problem. I'm having the Book of Boba Fett flashbacks. The bloody story doesn't add up from one episode to the next. Last episode, Reva sent a 3-dimensional image of Obi-Wan to every bounty hunter on a planet so they could find him. Bounty hunters she had no connection to. But to the soldiers that are under her command, she just sends the instruction, find Jedi. No 3D image, no name, no description, no information on the little girl being with him, no information whatsoever. Just find Jedi.
Just keep your eyes open.
Imagine how many real-life criminals would be caught if the only information police were given was the word suspect. Then add to that, the suspect could be anything from a frog up.
White tank top, black shorts.
White tank top, black shorts.
You're wearing the same clothes that was seen running from that vehicle? What are you talking about?
Then when the stormtroopers think they've caught him, they have to get a probe sent in to ID him. The technology in this world constantly changes to suit the dumb scene we're in. Because for 40 plus years, we've seen people receiving 3D pop-up video calls and video messages in Star Wars. The fucking last episode had it. But now all of a sudden we're in the Wild West where the local probe sheriff has to bring along a wanted poster and hold it up next to the suspect to identify them. So stupid.
Thank you.
Kenobi is all that matters now. Is that understood?
Yes, my lord.
Vader's #1 goal is to find Obi-Wan, and Reva doesn't even think to send a name and a photo to the people that are looking for him.
Looking for a Jedi.
And Vader's considering giving her the top job.
Prove yourself, and the position of Grand Inquisitor is yours.
Thank God Reva wasn't in charge of looking for Osama bin Laden. She would have just sent out,
Find the Arab.
do you have a photo or a name or at least a description of who we're looking for?
Yes, we do. So every time you find an Arab, we will send someone to bring the photo to see if it is them. Then, if it's them, we will then tell you his name.
Sorry, so could we just have the photo and name now? It would make the job a lot easier.
No.
What the fuck's wrong with you?
A couple of strays I found. Thought you might want to check them out.
Oh, thank God Moleface has a bit of a brain, because these stormtroopers didn't have a clue. And I do like that stormtrooper being cut in half by the gate. That was a nice touch. Walk around, you idiot. This is what happens when you are rushing out a show and no one cares enough to oversee the whole project. Obviously, the people who wrote this scene and the people who shot this scene didn't bother telling the people who were working on the digital backgrounds that it needed to look like he couldn't just walk around the gate. You idiots. I thought he was trying to get the gate open so he could take the vehicle, but no. He just wants to walk through. How fucking stupid do you want to make this guy? And again, this problem could have been fixed in the edit, but that would have taken the editors to give a shit. And to stay consistent with the way tech just comes and goes in this show, Obi-Wan's ability to use the Force just comes and goes. He now just bows down when told to like a scared rabbit, even though he's packing a blaster, a lightsaber, and the ability to use the Force. It's really hard to believe this is the same character, but that's because it's not the same fucking character. And I feel I must point this out again, just in case you didn't watch the last video. Leia is only a fugitive because Obi-Wan keeps taking her with him. This sympathizer could have hidden Obi-Wan and said she found a little girl who says her father is an Imperial senator who works with the Empire. She'd be a fucking hero returning the kid. But no, the writers are too dumb to understand their own story.
Leia fight Empire. Leia always fight Empire.
Listen to the Empire?
Absolutely. We love the Empire.
At her age, living the privileged life as a royal, and only ever knowing that her father works and meets with the Empire on a regular basis, yes, she probably is quite fond of them. She'd actually have no reason to think they're bad. How she got so streetwise is a real mystery.
I'm Luma. This is my father. This is my father, Orden.
But it's really because these dumbass modern writers don't understand that characters can be quite different when they are young children and they've had no life experience.
What is this place?
We have safe houses like this throughout the galaxy. You're not the first Jedi to come through here.
It's quite amazing that there are so many Jedi and Force-sensitive people getting around. Even a sparsely populated planet like this still have enough people to move that they've built a hidden underground tunnel network that's been very well constructed. You think if all those Force-sensitive and Jedi people got together, they'd be pretty powerful. But somehow, after all this smuggling of people, which over 10 years must be in the hundreds if not thousands, Luke and Obi-Wan are the only ones to come forward to help defeat the Empire. Really makes all the other smuggled Jedi and Force-sensitive people seem like real selfish bastards.
Quinlan was here.
Yeah, he helps now and again. Smuggling younglings.
Nothing like seeing our hero Jedi cower behind a door, watching innocent people die just to save his own skin. The guy that used to say Sith were his specialty,
Sith Lords are our speciality,
and would run into a fight, now hides behind innocent men and women. And he has no plan whatsoever, except for just pissing in his pants. He literally runs away after seeing a woman on the ground screaming while she's being tortured. Lucasfilm fucking hate the Jedi. And why is he so fucking scared of Vader? He is acting like he has post-traumatic stress disorder, as if he was the one that lost the fight at a partner. He's also watching like he's never seen these fucking powers before. Now, if anyone is going to be nervous about seeing the other, it should be Vader. Obi-Wan kicked his fucking ass last time. And that's when he still had arms and legs. Personally, I think if you went into a fight full of confidence as the young pretty boy, married to a young wife who's about to give birth to your children, and you come out of that fight looking like a German sausage, and your wife is dead, and as far as you know, the kids are too, and just to rub salt into your many, many wounds, the guy that did all this to you hasn't even got a fucking scratch. You might be just a little concerned what he's going to do to you next time. I mean, it'd be pretty hard to top when Obi-Wan stole his lightsaber and walked off to let him die a slow, painful, horrible death. Obi-Wan could have ended his misery or taken him with him, but Obi-Wan decided to say, "Fuck you, cunt. I'm going to take real good care of your missus. Don't you worry, real good care of her."
Are you my real father?
I wish I could say I was.
Alec Guinness never looked the slightest bit scared of Vader. Why would he be? The young Obi-Wan never looked scared of anyone. It's not the Jedi way to be scared. But for some reason, Lucasfilm have to make middle-aged Obi-Wan a scared puddle of piss who is fucking useless and runs and hides from danger. Now, where have we seen that before?
Go away!
And please, stupid TV show creators, hire better editors or have more control over what is shot. The tunnel sequence and Vader and Obi-Wan's fight are all over the fucking shop. Feels like Leia is running up and down the one tunnel, but she keeps ending up in different locations. And Vader and Obi-Wan keep skipping around in all different directions, but keep ending up in front of each other. It's a fucking mess. And who would have dreamt that bringing Vader and Obi-Wan back together could be so lackluster? No tension, no emotion, no skill, and no sense of direction. Again with the stupidity. Vader starts a fire. Vader blows out the fire. Sympathizer starts the fire again. Vader is now blocked by the fire. I'm really starting to think Lucasfilm have become a special needs hirer because that all happened within 10 seconds and no one questioned it. Remember, Vader's main mission in life, one he has spent 10 years thinking about, is to capture the guy who's 20 feet away from him, and he decides not to put the fire out again or use the Force to drag Obi-Wan back to him. Fucking moronic. And people defend this shit. Now remember, there's a difference between enjoying it because you don't give a shit and defending it. But imagine if mindless consumers didn't defend amateur written trash. We might actually get something good. But let's put the brakes on for a minute. Reva and Vader didn't have to go through any of this if they just thought about the massive plot holes staring them in the face. Talking about plot holes in this show is a bit redundant. The whole story is a fucking huge galaxy-consuming black hole. But this is a good one that fucks up the whole series. We've seen Reva admit to the other Inquisitors that she took Leia to get Obi-Wan to come out of hiding.
I found a link between him and Organa in the archives. I used the girl as bait.
It's a ridiculous leap of logic, but that's what they went with. Leia's family have decided to not tell anyone she is missing, but yet Obi-Wan has turned up to rescue her.
Kenobi is the last ember of a dying age. Extinguish him.
This would cause a very serious problem for Leia's family. The Inquisitors now know for certain that Leia's father is in touch with Obi-Wan, and they all know Obi-Wan is heading to Alderaan to return the girl. Add to this, the show is pushing a little schoolyard bitch fest between the Inquisitors.
You would kidnap an Imperial Senator's child.
We've done worse.
You have no right.
Why wouldn't the other Inquisitors race to Vader to explain the situation? Or better still, why wouldn't Vader come to this conclusion himself? The very first scene of this third episode should have been Vader landing on Alderaan, arresting the family for treason, and torturing them until Obi-Wan turned up. There is absolutely no reason to chase or search for Obi-Wan. That's not a random child. Everyone knows where he's taken her. And it's not like Vader wouldn't torture the family. We just saw him kill a couple of innocent people to prove a point. And as we know, in a couple of years, they blow up the whole fucking planet, murdering millions because Leia tells a lie. Torturing two people would be a breeze. And if he didn't want to torture Leia's parents, he could just have Reva do the mind meld and find out where Obi-Wan lives and all about the two children. This knowledge the writers have decided to insert in a time that sits before the original trilogy. The knowledge that Vader knows there's a link between Leia's dad and Obi-Wan means we should probably delete the original trilogy because now it just doesn't make any sense. The so-called writers, look, I don't even like calling them that. It's offensive to people who can actually write. These, in name only, hack writers not only break the original trilogy and prequels with their hackery, they also fuck up their own series with their idiotic story. Now, that's a special kind of talent.
What have you become?
I am what you made me.
What the hell is going on? I'm starting to think episode 4 is not going to save this show.
I hope you like pain.
I'll never tell you where they are.
It's time to make those tears real.
Did someone say action? Did someone say interrogation? No, lucky, because the Obi-Wan show just delivered the worst interrogation and action scene I think I've ever witnessed, and I've seen the bomber run and salt speeders of The Last Jedi. Star Wars was never considered hard sci-fi, but even with fantasy, you like to think that some effort goes into creating a fantastical world that fires off the imagination. I don't know if I've ever used the word fantastical before. Just one of those words that's nice to say, and I better stick to the nice words because I had to edit out a couple of the last video after a serious warning. World building and stories, especially world building in fantasy sci-fi, should open up your mind to new possibilities or take you on a trip far away. Creative ideas don't have to be foolproof or always make perfect sense. We can accept dragons flying or a wizard running the universe, even if we can't explain those ideas. They just need to be plausible enough to immerse us in the story and not go against their own universe and what we know of it. Creative disasters come when you run with ideas that are mediocre at best and involve situations or elements we can easily explain because they come from our everyday lives, like how water and glass work. Yes, we finally get to visit a place I've never heard of before. And Christ, I couldn't believe the name when I did hear it.
Fortress Inquisitorius.
Fortress Inquisitorius.
Fortress Inquisitorius.
What Harry Potter bullshit is this?
Petrificus Totalis.
I swear, hand on heart, I fucking burst out laughing when I heard that name. I had to pause the show and check this guy wasn't just taking the piss. And he wasn't. Fortress Inquisitorius. I thought the Inquisitors had a bad name. That sounds like something straight out of Spaceballs.
Pizza the Hut!
Fortress Inquisitorius is now the new king of fucking stupid names in Star Wars. Apparently we got to visit Fortress Inquisitorius in Jedi Fallen Order. I tell you, every ridiculous idea, whether taken from another movie or imported from a game or cartoon, just gets to now live on forever in Star Wars, no matter how fucking stupid, ridiculous or mundane it is. And Lucasfilm don't dare consider that even though something may have worked in a cartoon or game, it might not be up to standard in a multi-million-dollar live-action show where we are revisiting a much-loved character from the George Lucas era. I tell ya, if only Fortress Inquisitorius was run by Therm Scissor Punch and Argus of Six Eyes Panox. You know, because he's got 6 eyes and he punches with scissor-like things. And the fortress is full of inquisitors. And how is this building a good idea in any way? I mean, we had Boba Fett's buddies living out on the ocean, but for a start, their building design made a lot more sense. They seemed to live in harmony with the environment, and for all we knew, they'd been living on that planet for thousands of years. Why would a governing military force build this one building on a water planet, moon, whatever the fuck it is, where there is limited space and no connection to anything else, just to run a museum of captured dead Jedi? Why would you have the building near the Emperor at the heart of the galaxy, or on a ship that would, you know, move you closer to where you are working? The Inquisitors must spend a fortune on accommodation when they're off on work trips. And do they even get separate rooms? Or is it really awkward when fifth brother and third sister have to share a room?
That seat is mine.
The Death Star looked amazing and became an instant movie icon.
That's no moon.
Yet it still had a design and capability that worked in the story and seemed believable. This is just some jerk-off idea that doesn't make any sense. What the fuck are these people doing here on this useless building, made in an environment not suitable or useful for any of them? What are they all doing here marching about? We know no one is monitoring the space above them or the sky and sea around this building. So what are they all doing? And to think, Scarif had all this going on.
There's a planet-wide defensive shield with a single main entry gate. This shuttle should be equipped with an access code that allows us through.
Yet in this show, anyone can just fly up to Fortress Inquisitorius. That gate protecting Scarif was the last time we actually got an interesting idea in Star Wars. What a pity.
I don't see any shields.
No shields. Well, that's real fucking convenient. Always a good sign of incredible writing talent when something we've seen used many, many times just disappears for the writer's convenience.
The shield will be down in moments.
The shield is still up.
The shield is down. I don't see any shields.
Important military base in the middle of nowhere. And even though the Empire never seemed short of cash, they decided to save a few bucks by not putting the shields on this thing. The bloody half-built Death Star had a shield protecting it, but this permanent, very important base full of very important characters conveniently doesn't have any shields. Remember when Han, Leia and Luke went to turn off the shield protecting the second Death Star? And they had all this to contend with?
Now we find out if that code is worth the price we paid.
You rebel scum.
Well, those problems don't exist at Fortress Inquisitorius. The Empire's decided to help out the hack riders by removing all forms of security.
I don't see any shields.
Well, not all. For some reason, they still have security at the entrance to the building, like it's your local bank. They're overly confident that there will never be an air attack.
That's because no one will be stupid enough to attack them.
But they think someone may fly there and just try and walk in. But I have to admit the door staff are doing a wonderful job. The alarms are going off and people are running everywhere, but they don't think to stop the guy who obviously has a child under his coat. Idiots. Someone high up in charge considered door security the only line of defense needed at this highly classified important military base. Ah, remember when Obi-Wan swam? We have to redo that again.
It should be right ahead of you.
In this show, every basic function of the military has been removed in the sake of shockingly bad writing. Bloody Best Buy has better security.
I hope you like pain.
The interrogation of the child by the $2 store Sith was amazingly good at showing what a badly written, weak character Reva is. Leia got the best of her.
It's the sister contest.
Well, of course Leia did, because the writers think that a younger version of a character just means making them shorter. Their personality, intelligence, and willpower are all exactly the same as their older selves.
I don't know anything about a path.
You're strong.
Who needs life experience and maturity to develop a personality?
I hope
hope you like pain.
I'll never tell you where they are.
It's time to make those tears real.
Fucking ouch. Ooh, this is starting to hurt. In a very interesting coincidence, the Orville recently had a very similar storyline to this episode. A child around the same age as Leia was being interrogated for information regarding the smuggling of an outcast group who have been sentenced to death by the ruling party. Luckily for us, the Orville has decided that every show doesn't have to feel like it was made by the Church of Scientology. In the Orville story, the child is no match for her captors.
Please stop. I don't know anything.
And they end up beating the shit out of her. Now, I would never dream that Disney would go that far, because Disney has an overpriced family hotel to fill.
I want to order that really expensive $5,000 Kyber crystal drink.
That's like a hard Kool-Aid to me.
This is $5,000 Tang. Bottoms up.
But if the creators are only willing to do some weird interrogation scene where Reva comes off looking weak and petty against a child, then don't do the interrogation scene, you hacks. But the other difference between the Orville story and the Reva versus Leia story is that the child in the Orville actually knew the information their captors were after, where in Obi-Wan, there was no plausible reason Reva could think Leia knew anything about the Jedi smuggling operation. She's just a naive, innocent child that was only taken to be used as bait. Reva had to guess that during the rush to escape, our sympathiser here took out time to explain everything to a 10-year-old. And that 10-year-old was listening and took everything in. The person who probably knew a lot about this large Jedi smuggling operation, the operation that would be very important to the Inquisitors, was the dude that was waiting to smuggle out Leia and a Jedi. The guy Reva killed to capture Leia, who knows nothing. That dead guy probably knew a shitload about the Jedi smuggling ring, seeing as he was part of it. But because the creators of this show have no fucking clue what this show is meant to be, and they can't even follow their own stupid story, they now want us to forget Leia was only taken as bait. Now we have to pretend that Leia is an important piece of the conflict between Reva and Obi-Wan. It's creative insanity.
I hope you like pain.
I'll never tell you where they are.
Now, if Reva wasn't written as a one-dimensional, shouty villain of the week character,
Say something. I'll never tell you.
she would be smart enough to convince Leia she was on her side and she was going to try and get her home. And Obi-Wan was really the bad guy. It might help get her out of all the shit she's going to be in for kidnapping an Imperial Senator's daughter, a problem that could have already spread back to Leia's family through Obi-Wan. But Reva is one-dimensional, so she decides torturing and killing the Imperial Senator's daughter is the way to go. That should go damn well with the Emperor. I tell you, the Emperor must be wondering, what the fuck has Vader been up to? He hasn't been to work for weeks.
Kenobi is all that matters now.
What does that Stormtrooper armor do? It is an interesting decision to build an underwater military base with so many windows. They must be very useful. I'm guessing so all the Stormtroopers can, maybe enjoy the fish? All these guys must be trying to get a good spot for the 2 p.m. mermaid show, because the digital department has decided to place them in a position that has them all marching straight towards an external wall that's full of windows, for no apparent reason. Oh, come on. We know the reason. It's the same reason why the light is hitting these guys from a completely different direction as everyone else in the scene, making the whole thing look like a lazy composite. It looks as if Lucasfilm has been using the free plugins again. Why the fuck are there windows? What purpose does this base have? And why isn't it important to fans watching a sci-fi fantasy show that the sci-fi part is so fucking idiotic? So this Imperial underwater base that is 100% occupied by the Empire, a base that is so removed from the rest of the galaxy that it doesn't even bother having shields. This base for some reason needs armed soldiers patrolling constantly. Who are they on their constant lookout for? Is there people breaking into this thing all the time? They're not in some town they're trying to keep under control, or it's a prison complex. There are even patrolling droids.
Secret droid. I see it. Looks like they're everywhere.
In fact, the only job anyone seems to be doing in this building is patrolling the inside of the base while ignoring the outside. And something I definitely wouldn't do is have all these stormtroopers carrying weapons in an underwater facility that has very thin windows that are very easily broken. What idiot at the Imperial Architectural Firm thought a military base full of badly trained stormtroopers carrying blasters who are constantly on patrol should have underwater viewing windows to watch the fish?
Ban the window!
How was Fortress Inquisitors coming along, Vader?
We have decided to put in some windows so the lads can enjoy the fish when on patrol.
Excellent. And the glass will obviously be able to withstand an accidental blast hit.
What's that now?
Oh, shit.
Your spaceship flying, laser sword fighting sci-fi fantasy shouldn't have materials that are less developed than we have here on Earth. A material us Earthlings use every day and fully understand its manufacturing capabilities.
Now for the moment we've all been waiting for. Let's hit it with the elephant rifle. Oh!
You guys know how to have fun in America.
I can't believe I hit it.
We've all seen an aquarium. We've all seen submarines. We all understand how glass thickness works. But apparently, the fucking writers don't. They don't seem to realise there's a reason why naval submarines don't have windows. Oh, look, completely dry. No water came in at all. That door is as magical as the one in The Last Jedi that lets Leia in, and none of the vacuum of space. I just love how the current Lucasfilm writers just group together ideas they've seen done so well in other movies, regardless if any of those scenes make any type of sense in what they are writing. And we haven't even got to the time-travelling snowspeeders yet. Join me for part 2 because there's so much to say.
Say something!
If you have seen this season's big space opera, The Empire Strikes Back, then you've seen this intergalactic dreadnought. You probably have asked yourself, how in the world did they do that?
The complicated mixture of sophisticated technology, space-age machinery, and starry-eyed fantasy in today's science fiction films just may serve as inspiration for a coming generation of scientists.
All right, right behind you.
The timing of those two snow speeders was amazing. It was so amazing that they had to travel through time to get to Fortress Inquisitorius, and they got all the way to the flight hangar before anyone even noticed them. Apparently the Empire doesn't even have radar.
What an asshole.
I mean, Han had way more trouble getting past the Empire defenses.
I don't know. Fly casual.
So did the Rogue One crew. But nothing like that here at Fortress Inquisitorius. Great name. These two losers just fly straight up and start blasting. Here's a fun fact. You know why you don't see many spongy looking Air Force pilots? It's a physically demanding job. You have to be super fit. But we can't worry about that. We have egomaniacs that are too weak-willed to stop shoving pies in their mouths, who want to see themselves on screen, and they want to see themselves doing the most physically demanding jobs. Now that does put the fantasy into this show.
Right behind you.
I'm coming in more and more for Kentucky Fried Chicken.
The AT-AT attack on Hoth is arguably the most famous battle scene in Star Wars, painstakingly put together by a group of guys that were inventing a new type of cinema. Visually amazing, and with a book ended by Vader's "I am your father" reveal, has a lot to do with many people citing Empire Strikes Back as their favourite Star Wars movie. It's a pity that famous Walker scene has already been devalued when the creators of Rogue One decided to have a Star Destroyer just fly suborbital and park right next to a town. Really makes Vader look like a bad leader. Instead of sending in those slow AT-ATs, he could have just parked a Star Destroyer on the Rebels. But better still, after Disney's Lucasfilm decided that Star Destroyers could just fly down to a planet to fix any problem, the Lucasfilm Brain Trust then decided to let Mr. Potato Head here show that not only were walkers still a thing, they were now new and improved, as they were much, much bigger. Because that's how great writers evolve an idea. They just make it bigger. In what situation besides the one time every Star Destroyer was wiped out by an angry fashionista, what other situation would call for a slow-walking tank ahead of a fucking Star Destroyer just flying down and blasting everything to bits?
Right.
But it wasn't just the AT-ATs that made that scene special. It was also the awesome snow speeders.
All right, boys, keep tight now.
And in line with the usual amount of respect given to everything the old guard did, the famous and loved snow speeders are reduced to...
We could take those speeders. You have some T-47s.
Those speeders are for hauling sewage.
Yes, those speeders are for hauling sewage. Besides the fact that I don't even know why they would need to haul sewage in space.
Well, if they follow standard Imperial procedure, they'll dump their garbage before they go to light speed, and then we just float away.
Where from the sky comes a bunch of
feces.
Lucasfilm's contribution to the history of these iconic ships is that they are used by our heroes to move human shit. Very subtle. I don't know who Lucasfilm hates more, George or his old characters. And the decision to have these ships in this show is even more proof that modern Lucasfilm has no understanding of the thought process behind the original trilogy. The thought process behind the vehicle designs. You know, just one of those small things that made Star Wars iconic. The ship designs in the original trilogy were meant to have a very modern yet lived-in design that, as George put it, wouldn't stand out. Very much like the car designs becoming popular in the late 70s and through the 80s. Sharper lines and futuristic cabins with flat, practical layouts. Then with the prequels being set 20 to 30 years before the original trilogy, George again took inspiration from his love of cars and looked at the car designs happening 20 to 30 years before the 70s, 80s future. The smoother, shinier ships all took their inspiration from the colourful chrome featuring more shapely cars from the 50s. The work of art ships from the prequels evolved into a more mass-produced flat panel design that robots could put together, just like cars did from the 50s to the 70s. The decision from George to change the ship design so much when doing the prequels was creative brilliance that threw a lot of people off that couldn't understand how the ship designs in the prequels looked more advanced than the flat panel ships in the original trilogy, when in reality this design evolution happens all the time. The 60s were a time of radical, beautiful design, where the 80s were a design wasteland where plastic took over and everything could be mass-produced. So how does our old hermit hot rodder from the 50s know of the future-designed 80s DeLorean? He mentions the T-47s as if they were a common ship before he went into hiding. So, back in the prequel era, then these guys talk about the T-47s hauling human shit as if they're already old pieces of junk that have passed their prime. That would be like watching the F-14s in the original Top Gun of the 80s turn up in Apocalypse Now's Vietnam. And in Apocalypse Now, they talk about the F-14s being used in the Korean War. And so now in Vietnam, they're only good for transporting human shit.
All right, give it to me. I'll take it. Look at this. Ever since the XP-38 came out, they just aren't in demand.
And surprisingly, one of the Disney films did try and get this right. The scapegoat film that took all the blame, changed the course of Lucasfilm production, but is aging much better than the sequels. Solo, a Star Wars story, actually tried to get this right. That a Star Wars story idea really didn't last that long. Yes, Solo, a Star Wars story is the only production to have some idea of what era it's meant to be set in.
Your empire needs you! Troopers forward!
Where Lucasfilm now just copy everything from the original trilogy and don't even attempt to bring in design elements that would show the past designs of the prequels and hint at the future designs of the original trilogy. Solo at least attempted to bring in design elements that look like they could be from a time between the ornate prequels and the hard-edged original films. They showed the modern Star Destroyers being built. And fuck me, they actually dropped the recurring joke of the Millennium Falcon being a pile of junk. The most loved spaceship in movie history was brand new with a super proud owner. We'll just have to ignore that when Revenge of the Sith came out, the digital department decided to insert the Millennium Falcon as a little Easter egg. The Solo creators actually understood the wild concept that you didn't have to make every ship a pile of junk. And depending on which era your story is set in, the ships could actually be new. Or maybe, and try and stay with me, maybe they don't even exist yet.
Right behind you.
Crazy idea for Lucasfilm to grasp, seeing as all they have is referencing the old movies.
I am a princess of Alderaan.
Designs always evolve over time, but not in this show. This show has jumped from Chevys to the Starion in all its design choices. Everything looks exactly like we're already in the New Hope era. The buildings, the stormtroopers, and the ships. I mean, this show is so void of creativity that they fucking have 10-year-old Luke wearing the same clothes he's wearing in A New Hope. So it's not like they're going to design a ship that sits between the ETA-2 Actus-class Interceptor and the New Hope era TIE Fighter. The mental giants making Star Wars now think that a big switch was flicked at the end of Revenge of the Sith, and everything went from looking like the prequels to looking like A New Hope overnight, and then those designs were locked in forever. That's why Obi-Wan looks like it's set at the same time as Mando, and we have fucking TIE Fighters and X-Wings in The Rise of Skywalker. And I can already hear those soft little hands of the Disney defenders tapping away at their keyboards, racing to say,
But we still have 50s cars driving around, and the US Air Force are still using planes from the 50s.
And I say to you, my dumbass friend, watch Back to the Future again, you moron. So was it worth breaking Star Wars continuity by having the T-47s in Obi-Wan just so the fanboys and girls can lose another tiny load?
Got you, Sully, just go.
Oh dear, this looks like a kid trying green screen for the first time. Whoever made this has no sense of size, depth, speed, or direction. And I think a lot of this can be attributed to Lucasfilm's reliance on those big wraparound screens they use for everything, and putting them in the hands of terrible action directors. And this looks bad now. Imagine how it's going to age. It'll be like watching the old 3D movies, where they just thought people would be so mesmerised by the effects that they wouldn't notice how shit it all was. The ships start by sneaking up to the base, totally undetected by any form of scanning, and fly straight at a wall without exploding into it. These things apparently fly at 600 to 1,000 kilometers an hour, and somehow they just don't explode into that wall. Even after we cut from this shot, we see them still firing at Reva for another 5 seconds. Yet they were right on top of her in the last shot. Is storyboarding a thing of the past? Because this is B-grade amateur trash that is a total mess, and Disney should be embarrassed.
The script had to be turned into storyboards with every shot planned out. Props for a whole new world had to be designed.
And I was wrong about them still shooting 5 seconds later. The whole time our heroes are running away, we keep getting random blasts from the T-47s, which sure is weird because the T-47s are no longer in the hangar bay. They are magically back outside again. And now, like all the other technology in this show that just changes to the needs of a particular scene, our famous snowspeeder now hovers in a very bizarre scene. In all honesty, that has to be one of the most awkwardly framed shots I've ever seen. And poor Moses obviously didn't know what she was meant to be fighting, because her actions don't match the ship's firing at all. So much so that they had to keep changing the blast angle to match Reva's crazy all over the place blocking. One shot will be straight out of the barrel, the next one will be on some crazy angle. I'm pretty sure they can't do that. Plus, is Reva really a superhero? She never looks like she's fighting a ship's blaster at all. She never looks the slightest bit strained, because I always imagined that a blast from a ship would have quite a bit of power behind it. But she's deflecting those blasts like they're ping pong balls.
It made me look like a duck in water.
And why is scale a foreign concept to the highly paid effects team? We're shown that the ship is virtually in line with Reva, and a fair distance from her. Then it's right next to her. And Reva is as big as the ship. Lucasfilm, they only hire the best. And why have the hundreds, if not thousands of other troops just decided to not fire on this odd-looking hovering ship? Are all of them like the audience and secretly hoping that Reva will get killed? Or are they just too busy rushing around in different directions for no reason?
Come on, get in.
What? How the fuck are they all getting in the back of that thing? We've already seen how tight those cabins are. I can't wait to see a shot of them all jammed in the back of that ship, pressed up against the glass, no room to move, because unless that thing is the TARDIS, that's impossible for them all to get in there. Oh, what a surprise. We strangely don't get a shot of our heroes escaping. I wonder why.
To all beef patty, special sauce, lettuce, cheese, pickles, onions on a sesame seed bun.
A minor point that just makes me laugh is that they actually added a muffled voice that sounds like someone in a locked car boot saying, "I'm in." And I didn't do this. This is actually in the show. There is also the female pilot's voice, completely changing to a different person between scenes.
Get in. Wait! Leave her, come on. All right, I'm on my way.
And after showing us thousands of troops marching around and multiple TIE fighters hanging from the ceiling, the writer and creators of this show decide to have no one else join in the fight. No stormtroopers fire on the ships, and no TIE fighters are sent out to chase Obi-Wan. We keep getting told that Kenobi is the only important thing now, but they don't bother to chase after him. The dumbass creators of this show are so juiced up about making everything about Reva that they think we'll either forget everything we just saw or are too dumb to notice. My guess is they just want to reference another famous scene in the hope it will trick us into liking this new amazing character. And I can tell you now, the way you've written Reva, that ain't gonna happen.
I hope you like pain.
We then jump to Darth Lamer, the now cliched idiot villain, who is furious with Reva.
I will tolerate your weakness no longer.
Back it up a bit, Darth Lamer. What about the idiot that decided to not have shields on this building? What about the security who let Obi-Wan just swim into the building unnoticed? What about the security that let Obi-Wan walk out in the worst disguise of all time? And what about the flight commander who didn't send any TIE fighters after Obi-Wan? There are a lot of people besides Reva to blame. In fact, every bloody person who has ever had anything to do with this building, from the planning stage until now, had to fuck up for this script to work.
I put a tracker on the ship.
A tracker? So Reva knew all this was going to happen. The writers want you to now believe that all of this, including the destruction and multiple deaths, this whole show by Reva was all part of her genius plan to let them go so she can track them to the other hidden Jedi. Bullshit. This corrupt type of writing that's now commonplace in Star Wars, where what we witness in one scene is reframed in another scene to trick the audience, and not in a clever way that shows a character's point of view.
Jules, you give that fucking Nimrod $1,500 and I'll shoot him on general principle.
Just in a lazy hack, straight out lying to your audience way. Like showing someone eyes open dead on the ground and then have them turn up in a future scene. You know, treating your audience like they're all idiots. But usually the hacks leave a little bit of time before the original scene and then the reframing.
Assassin for hire.
Their reputation is legendary.
Not here. We go from death and destruction to it was all part of Reva's plan in the very next bloody scene. We just saw multiple deaths and her chasing them down, trying to kill them. But no, all part of her plan. Lucasfilm really thinks their audience are goldfish. And yes, I know, the goldfish thing is a myth. Then 2 seconds after saying she let them go on purpose, she says Kenobi is all that matters.
The base was almost destroyed.
Kenobi is all that matters.
The writer is now changing the meaning of each line from one line to the next.
There can be no mistakes. No mistakes.
This script is a new level of stupidity. People that enjoy this show should really come with a warning that they're not allowed to operate heavy machinery.
Hey, you can't park there! You can't park there!
The problem is, the story is supposedly meant to be about killing Obi-Wan, which we know can't happen. Just like we know Luke, Leia, and Vader can't die. Lucasfilm are going in circles trying to make tension where there isn't any because we already know the outcome.
Then you die.
In their wisdom, Lucasfilm decided to make a show with 0 stakes, which sounds amazingly stupid when said out loud. Good work, Kathleen Kennedy. Well done.
The main thing is to protect these characters, make sure that they still continue to live in the way that you created them, and that the universe of Star Wars continues to grow.
I sold them to the white slavers that take these things and
Okay, so join me next week, but I'm sure it's all going to start making sense.
I tried to help them, but I couldn't. They were the only family I knew. Say something! I tell you! You did this to yourself! What are you doing to me?
To all these and special sauces, cheese, pickles, onions, on sesame seeds. 10 out of 10.
Righto, let's hit episode 5.
We were expecting more of like how Obi-Wan kind of sticks around with Luke, but you kind of leave Luke to the side and go off and help Leia on this journey.
Yeah, no, it was going to be a story about me and Luke. Yeah, it was always going to be that.
He belongs to someone called Obi-Wan Kenobi. I thought he might have meant old Ben. You know him?
Well, of course I know him. He's me.
I want to come with you to Alderaan. There's nothing for me here now.
Your destiny lies along a different path from mine. The Force will be with you, always.
Yeah, no, it was going to be a story about me and Luke. Yeah, it was always going to be that. And that was one of the genius moments where everyone went, wait a minute, and then changed it.
Yes, we are continuing on this wonderful journey to try and ascertain what drugs these incredible writers are on. And where can I get some? I originally voted for crack.
Glime from Blugs.
But one lovely viewer suggested acid. I think they might be onto something, as this show was one real bad trip.
Man, I was tripping balls pretty hard, man. So I decided to get on my bench grinder, and a piece of metal flew up and hit me right in the eye.
Now, I know you probably don't want to revisit the nightmare, but in the quest for answers, I need you to take your mind back to the episode before this one, where we saw the greatest escape of all time from Fortress Inquisitorius. That name is so much fun to say, yet it's so ridiculous on the ears. Remember back to that episode? When everyone didn't bother chasing down Obi-Wan because Reva had put a tracker on the ship, even though no one else knew that, because Reva wanted to expose the route the Jedi were using to escape? The pathway?
Some call it the path.
Pity no one else knew about that plan, but anyway, how does that fit in with the writers wanting us to feel sorry for the little youngling who blames Obi-Wan and Vader for all her friends' deaths? Apparently, no one even believed the path existed.
Bunch of talk of a secret network, a path. We thought it was a lie.
Now, if she found proof of the escape route the Jedi had been using to get to freedom, and didn't share it with Vader, we might have slightly believed she was some type of double agent. Could have made for an interesting story. But as we know, the writers are complete morons and don't know how to write an interesting story.
Soon the location of the network and Kenobi will be ours.
Man, I thought Finn was a bit of a bastard cheering when he was blowing up his friends. At least he was trying to get away. Reva, she's just decided to finish what Anakin started, and we're meant to have some sympathy for her.
Why would I ever trust you?
That's what modern writers call a twist. Just have a character act in ways that go against everything we've seen up to that point.
I tried to help them, but I couldn't. They were the only family I knew.
The crazy thing with this show is usually when they do a blind flip of a character that makes no sense, the character usually stays with the flip, like when they tried to tell us that Hux was a spy.
I'm the spy.
What? You? I knew it.
No, you did not.
After he had literally led the way to slaughtering millions of people, and he'd spent 2 films fighting Kylo for power, well, in one flip of the script, he was turned into a snivelling loser, and he stuck with that snivelling loser personality for the rest of the film. I mean, it was only for another couple of minutes, but at least he tried. Reva, God, I'm getting sick of saying that name, Shouty McShout turned straight back to her child killer ways 2 seconds after having flashbacks about her friends. Ah yes, don't keep Obi-Wan out here with you. March him back inside so he can magically get away again, off screen. It is hard to believe they went all the trouble of getting Hayden back with Ewan, and then they just repeated scenes we'd already seen, but done much better. The show could have them off on some crazy adventure where we learn more about their bond, a bond we were told about in the prequels, but never really shown.
I haven't felt you this tense since we fell into that nest of gundarks.
You fell into that nightmare, Master, and I rescued you, remember?
But instead we get a crappy de-aged green screen training clip where Anakin, who looks way too old, just comes across like a whiny prick again, like he did in the prequels. It was your big chance to improve the prequels, Disney, and you blew it. And can someone explain to me why they made their digital life harder by going back to teenage ponytail Anakin instead of long-haired older Anakin? What am I thinking? The new creators probably had to Google Anakin in the prequels, and the first image that came up was from Attack of the Clones. Oh, look at that lovely, fresh-faced young teenager.
It's over.
Hold the phone.
Who's gay?
I do know why they made their life harder by going back to teenage Anakin, and it pretty much sums up the clown show that is Lucasfilm and how they just run with any idea, no matter how much it flies in the face of the original movies, because who cares about them?
When I left you, I was but the learner. Now I am the master.
Only a master of evil, Darth.
You see, the Lucasfilm story group, or what's left of it, don't have one original or interesting idea between them. And if you need proof of this, refer to the ideas board that includes gems like feelings, surprise, actual endings, droids, complicated monsters, diversity again, and dinosaurs. Ah, classic dinosaur Star Wars. I miss it.
The Triceratops, a horned dinosaur in battle with the savage Ceratosaurus.
This has been a very free environment for everybody to just throw things out there.
No, this is not a short course for middle-aged women who have done nothing with their lives. This is the actual ideas board, straight from the Lucasfilm writers' room.
A really unique writers' room where we had diverse voices with very different opinions about Star Wars.
These people took over from George Lucas. Oh my God, George, what did you do?
I sold them to the white slavers.
Okay, but I mean... Anyway, somewhere along the way, the LF clowns came up with the Reva obsessed with Kenobi gem of an idea. But even the clowns understood that their story was a clown recital that didn't fit with the adult Anakin we'd seen in Revenge of the Sith. So instead of doing the obvious choice and changing their story, they decided to change George's story and remove adult Anakin and replace him with, under Obi-Wan's care, teenage Anakin. That's why we get Attack of the Clones Anakin in the training scenes and at the temple scenes. Fucking amazing. The writers' egos are so out of control that they would rather rewrite George's work than admit their ideas suck camel's balls. Disney really hates George Lucas.
I'm a small part of a very big team, and we inherited some wonderful ideas from previous incarnations of the project and did what we could to carry them forward and bring the whole thing to fruition. But it was, as I said, it was a real group effort. It takes a village.
And we must applaud Disney for their respect for women. They love women so much that they have them constantly screaming like lunatics. How come they don't make the men scream all the time? I'm just saying, ladies, Disney isn't doing you any favours. know why Vader didn't stop that second ship, don't you? Well, it's because the people making this garbage think the Force is like a superpower that comes out of the Force user's hands. That's why we get the stupid hand actions for every movement. Now, before you go off, this is dramatic license to convey feeling, as well as helping the audience understand what's going on. The whole original message that the writers would know if they'd watched Empire Strikes Back was that size doesn't matter. This is more like a Street Fighter combination hand jive.
You win.
And of course, they're just allowed to fly away again, like what happens every week in this show. You see, what should happen every time someone just tries to fly away like this is that some ships should be sent after them. Why wouldn't Vader have his ship just cut them off as they entered space? Or send 100 TIE fighters after him to blow them out of existence? Man, a huge chunk of Empire Strikes Back dealt with the Millennium Falcon getting pursued after escaping from Hoth. And that was the Millennium Falcon. One of the fastest ships in the galaxy was hunted so fiercely that in the end they had to find somewhere to hide. But no, none of that here. For some bizarre reason that only the writers would understand, Vader, after missing his opportunity to stop the ship, just lets the school bus ship fly past his Star Destroyer full of TIE fighters. It's quite amazing the amount of technology and opportunities these characters have to ignore just to try and get this story to work. Oh, if only we could get Hollywood to just stop horror and hacks. Wouldn't have to worry about all this shit. Then again, I'd be out of a job.
Ewan and Hayden. You know, you can't be a Star Wars fan and not want to see that again. I mean, it's incredible. I get goosebumps seeing like the posters. I'm like, yes, let's go.
Reva has a lightsaber run through her, but as we know, lightsabers now have the power and threat of a garden hose, so we know she'll be fine. But what do we have here? More people surviving death to insert some bullshit twist? And Vader knew all along about Reva's double cross?
Did you really believe I did not see it, youngling?
How does this fit into Vader's plan? Man, this writing is gold. Did he have the real Grand Inquisitor hide on his ship while he promoted Reva, just so they could have some weird gotcha moment later on? Surely when they got together, the Grand Inquisitor mentioned Reva stabbing him?
What? She fucking stabbed you?
Yeah.
That's it. She's fucked. So what we're going to do is hide you and let her think that she's been promoted to your job.
I don't understand.
And then when she tries to kill me, you can pop out and whammo, she's going to look like such a goose.
Why don't we just kill her and...
Trust me, it'll make sense at the time. It'll be hilarious.
Did you really believe I did not see it?
In your face, biatch.
Wow. I've got to get me one of those Jerry Springer shows. I'd have so much fun doing that every day.
Question for the cowboy, like dudes.
See, the writers have already forgotten that Vader knew Obi-Wan's location, and now we know he knew that Reva was out to kill him. What was the purpose of sending Reva down to confront Obi-Wan when he could have just sent the real Grand Inquisitor, who would have done a better job? Why wouldn't Vader just kill her? He's killed other people for less.
You are in command now, Admiral Piet.
Thank you, Lord Vader.
Doesn't seem very Vader-like to let her live. It's as if Disney doesn't understand.
Lightsabers.
Holy shit! It's odd that we see so much lightsaber stabby action these days. Lethal carving and cutting used to be the only way. And the one time we did see someone stabbed, they had the good sense to die. Now, all we get is stabbing. I guess it's probably a bit hard to keep bringing people back from the dead if their guts are all over the floor. Or their head is missing. So I can't wait for next episode, because it will be the end of this
Oops. Winning.
So I can't wait for the next episode where all these loose ends are going to be brought together and make this wonderful journey worth it.
We cannot prioritize one lone Jedi.
He is not just any Jedi.
I don't understand.
Well, we're up to the last episode. Episode 6, The Final Insult.
What's the main driving creative force throughout all this?
You know, I think first of all, the thing that we really aspire to constantly is quality.
I'm sorry for all of it.
Well, here we are at the end of this bizarre, shocking, how on earth did it come to this? Obi-Wan Kenobi show final. Bizarrely, we have already had Obi-Wan and Vader face off, which was terrible. Little Obi-Wan running away, yet ending up at the exact same spot over and over again. Like he was trapped in the bloody Matrix. Lucasfilm should have really hired 2 mounds of dirt for that shoot. But we know that Vader and Obi-Wan will have to be brought back together one more time because you're going to break George's New Hope story. You may as well do it twice. So we start with Reva and more hand pantomime force use. The force used to be so cool, a spiritual connection with nature. Now it's just a dumb superpower that mimics exactly what she could have done with her hand. It's hard to say if Reva is the worst Star Wars character of all time. How do you judge a piece of corn in a turd? It seems a tad unfair singling out Reva when everything about this show is garbage.
What do you want?
Justice.
So Reva is here alive. I should be saying surprisingly, but what must be one of the stupidest ideas that any franchise has ever done, the series with the word wars in the title, has decided to remove death from the Star Wars universe. Unless, like I said last time, you're a droid. Then you get a really dramatic death, never to be repaired. Somehow Reva was run through with a lightsaber, by Darth Vader no less, on a deserted planet with no spaceships around. She somehow survived, built a spaceship out of the bits Vader pulled apart, and flew straight to Tatooine. I mean, we don't see any of that miraculous escape. Why would we? That might be interesting. But then again, they'd have to think of a way she got off that planet.
Revenge does wonders for the will to live, don't you think?
I always do love when the fans say, "You can survive because the heat of the lightsaber will cauterize the wound." As if a big gaping hole through vital organs is fine as long as you don't bleed too much. We've now seen 3 people run through with a lightsaber and they've all survived. I mean, they all now shit into a colostomy bag because their intestines are destroyed, but they're alive. Now, if we go back to a horrible time in a theatre, I remember seeing Rey heal Kylo Ren for the first time with her magic hands and thinking, what a fucking stupid cheat that was to add into the Star Wars universe. The Force's ability to be used to communicate or move things seemed spiritual and meditative. Using the Force to re-stitch internal organs, bringing people back from the dead and performing miracles seems very godlike, which it's hard to believe people forgot about it.
The Jedi were real.
A few monks being able to move objects is one thing, but imagine thinking that a magic power that could cheat death would be forgotten by the general public within one generation.
The Jedi were real.
The subtleties of the original vision of Star Wars are so lost on the current Lucasfilm.
You don't need to see his identification.
We don't need to see his identification.
The Force is now just an obnoxious superpower.
You have what's left when I'm done.
So Reva is looking for Owen to get to the boy. Remember when this series started and it had nothing to do with the twins and Leia was just there because of who her dad was? Well, because the writers are morons, they decided to give Reva the prequels box set so she could catch up and know that the boy was somehow important. You would think the minimal requirement for being a writer in Hollywood would be the skill of being able to follow your own story and to also remember that the characters in your story haven't watched the movies you're referencing.
You really love the boy.
That really seems like something a child would understand, but somehow not paid writers or some of the current Star Wars fans.
You've spent 10 years protecting the Jedi. This is my chance to return that favor.
Disney really hates the Jedi. They just keep telling us how bloody useless they are. A small band of rebels can take out a Death Star. But what seems to be an ever-growing number of Jedi that survived decide to all hand in their lightsabers and hide.
You have to help me.
You want my help? Take this. Walk into the middle of the desert and bury it in the ground.
So while Reva is now hunting some random kid,
I'm not afraid.
Obi-Wan decides to sacrifice himself to Vader, the guy he is absolutely shit scared of. The turning of Luke into Jake was such a sad choice, handled in such a lazy way.
Surprise, motherfucker!
But the way they've written Obi-Wan in this series, and also, let's be honest, the way Ewan is playing him, is bloody ridiculous. And even though I hate old man Luke, we hadn't seen him before as an old man, but we have seen old man Obi-Wan, who is just like young man Obi-Wan. And neither of them are like the deer in the headlights, consistently frightened middle-aged Obi-Wan.
You must learn the ways of the Force if you're to come with me to Alderaan.
This guy is definitely not this guy, and this guy is definitely not this guy. I swear Disney only has that one template for old characters, and that's that they're failures. Speaking of failures, Vader's Star Destroyer can't catch the flying school bus, and as we know, they can never send TIE fighters after them anymore. And as we've seen before, for some reason, no one making this series understands scale. How does this ship and those people fit into this ship? We literally see the underside and the interior of the ship to see how bloody small it is.
That's the exact same ship leaving that they're in. Oh, that's right, sci-fi fantasy, so, you know, fucking anything goes. Still not as stupid as when they tried to say that the same ship was carrying 2 snow speeders. That was ridiculous.
He is not just any Jedi. Follow Kenobi.
TIE fighters, just send out the TIE fighters. Obi-Wan flies off, finds a planet and lands. Because we have to get to that Vader Kenobi money shot as soon as possible. And when we see them again together, we get some predictable choreography that looks made up on the spot, where it's all about getting those poses in, and lots of superhero, superpower force use.
And that is why you will always lose.
That results in Obi-Wan getting buried. George Lucas would be turning in his grave if he wasn't alive and well, and not thinking about this shit anymore. Disney has turned his simple, magical tale into a Marvel Avengers smash fest.
Elegant weapon for a more civilized age.
These guys are just over-the-top super beings these days. How are those rocks not killing Vader? Oh, that's right. They removed death from Star Wars. They also removed tension. Because who gives a fuck about a story or a fight where you know the outcome? What investment am I meant to be giving? They may as well just put on the wrestling. There's a strange bit where they hold hands, and then we get the only interesting idea and shot in the whole series, when we get Anakin/Vader, which for the briefest of moments shows you what could have been. But that all comes to a screeching halt when they get Obi-Wan to say goodbye, Darth.
Goodbye, Darth.
Which is very odd when you're going for the final goodbye of Anakin. Then Obi-Wan just walks off, allowing Vader, the mass-murdering psychopath, to live. Nice work, Obi-Wan, you bastard. Twice you've left him alive to just go on killing.
You were my brother, Anakin!
I do like how the creative giants at Lucasfilm have just decided to step in and rewrite the most important parts of George Lucas's work. Obi-Wan's relationship with Anakin didn't end on Mustafar just before Padme died. No! Now their relationship finally ended on some nameless, badly lit rock planet that no one gives a shit about. Brilliant. This is meant to be impressive, lifting all these rocks. Just a pity we saw Rey do the exact same thing, the day after she heard that the Force was actually a real thing.
I'm sorry for all of it.
Meanwhile, Reva has been visiting Owen's farm to kill everyone. So much tension. I wonder who will survive. Strangely, Owen, the missus, and the boy Wonder had a chance to leave.
I'm not leaving my home. At least here we have a chance.
If we stay, we need help.
We're enough. You and me.
But they thought they stood a better chance by waiting at the remote farm for their trained assassin to arrive and kill them.
She's coming!
Go! We're enough.
Obi-Wan magically gets there from a far-off planet within minutes. Like death and tension, distance is now a thing of the past in Star Wars. Oh, what a surprise. Everyone survives. Ah, what a fascinating tale. And lucky for Luke, Reva had a change of heart because Obi-Wan completely failed in protecting Luke. In fact, Lucasfilm decided to have Obi-Wan fail at everything and achieve nothing in this series. Leia was only on the run because she was with Obi-Wan. She only got home alive because someone else dropped her off. Luke is only alive because Reva changed her mind. Obi-Wan also let Vader, the most evil and feared man in the universe, live to go on killing. He also let a homicidal Reva just walk away, even though she'd been on a Jedi killing spree for years, a spree that included children. She was actually just trying to kill a child 5 minutes ago. But off you go, walk off into the sunset, Reva. So thanks to Disney, not only is Obi-Wan now a complete selfish arsehole who has made terrible decisions that will lead to the death of millions.
What's wrong? I felt a great disturbance in the Force, as if millions of voices suddenly cried out in terror and were suddenly silenced.
Yeah, that's all your fault. He is also insanely stupid.
You know, you were right. He just needs to be a boy. The future will take care of itself. The only protection he needs now, Owen, is you and Beru.
Yeah, a boy that only seems to have one set of clothes for his whole life. Luke literally just had a trained assassin at the farm trying to kill him. He's only alive, no thanks to Obi-Wan, because the killer changed their mind. And thanks to Obi-Wan, that killer is still out there alive.
Now you are free.
And could change their mind at any time and come back and get him. Or that killer could be captured by Vader and forced to tell him all about the boy. And Obi-Wan knows all this and thinks, now's the time to leave and let the farmer and his wife take care of the boy. The farmer and wife that have already shown they can't protect him. Let them be the sole protectors for the future savior of the galaxy. Ah, get fucked. Obi-Wan decides to visit Leia to see if she survived and made it home, which is really stupid as the only people that should be visiting Leia's family is Vader and the Inquisitors. The idiot writer's own stupid story revolved around Vader being obsessed with killing Obi-Wan.
He is not just any Jedi.
The Inquisitors' sole job is to hunt Jedi and report back to Vader. They made sure everyone knew the connection between Leia's stepdad and Obi-Wan.
I found a link between him and Organa in the archives. I used the girl as bait.
Reva turning good at the last minute doesn't change what the Inquisitors and Vader know. Vader now knows for certain that Obi-Wan is alive and well. He also knows for certain that Leia's dad is in contact with him. Why wouldn't Vader just turn up, grab the whole family, and torture them until Obi-Wan handed himself in?
You know where to find me.
Instead, for some crazy reason, Vader just somehow forgets everything that just happened and doesn't think about it for the next 10 years.
I've been waiting for you, Obi-Wan. We meet again at last.
And apparently, best of all, the Inquisitors just stopped doing their job.
Kenobi is the last ember of a dying age. Extinguish him.
Leia's dad's not even some random dude. Anakin knows him. He's a bloody senator. Vader's going to see him at work for the next 10 years. It's so fucking insane.
Well, took you long enough.
Qui-Gon? It's a bit late, isn't he? Obi-Wan's popping in to see Luke every 5 minutes, and Qui-Gon turns up right at the very end. Doesn't feel tacked on at all.
Ooh. Ben?
Beginning to think you'd never come.
I was always here, Obi-Wan. You just were not ready to see.
The writers hate Obi-Wan so much, they're now blaming him for the lack of Force Ghost visits.
Come on, you've got a ways to go.
Kenobi is the dumbest story I have ever seen produced. A story where the future is already laid out, and still they couldn't get it right.
I think you're right.
Disney just hates the Jedi. They hate Star Wars, and they really, really hate George Lucas. Jealous, forgettable hacks, the lot of them.
But also the new characters, the new energy, being able to add new stuff to canon and new stuff to Star Wars. It's like, it's a great honor to be able to do that. So I'm excited to see new stuff.
The sequels may have destroyed Leia, Han, and Luke, but this show massacred Obi-Wan and Vader and made the whole saga make no sense.
What are you the most excited for in the Lucasfilm slate for 2022?
I'm excited for so much that's going on. There's just such variety to what's going on and such exciting expansion that's happening. And the most important thing is we're bringing in people that are just having a blast being a part of this.
So that's it. They did it. The one character that should have been bulletproof against Disney's destructive, made-for-the-modern audience bullets has been murdered. They killed the soul of Star Wars. They killed Obi-Wan Kenobi.
I'm sorry. For all of it.
And don't forget to use the link in the description to get 84% off, plus 4 months free with CyberGhost. Start protecting your digital life today.